Please? We're talking about artists, NFT, climate action. Today is the Digital Art for Climate Day. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We're back at Digital Innovation Pavilion at COP28. And this is our concluding session of the day about digital art for climate, artists, artwork, and music inspiring global climate action. And I have amazing panelists with me today, and I would like you guys to introduce yourself to those who just joined us live. Mari, you first.
Hi, I'm Mari Asada is my name, and I'm an artist from Japan. I'm a visual artist. Also, I'm a boarding member of OSD Japan, and I'm helping this Digital Innovation Pavilion, also Digital4Climate. And this year we will do next year we will do a Digital4Climate competition where we will have a Japan award too. So I'm really appreciate and for this opportunity. Thank you.
Hi there, great to be here. I'm Rupert Pearce, the CEO of Rewired Earth. Rewired Earth have created an app that's going to be released globally next year, which allows people to compare what they really care about and what their priorities are in terms of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and compare them to businesses, products, projects, and how they actually rank against those same SDGs. So I'd be able to go into a supermarket or make an investment decision. I'd be able to say, these are the things I care about: no poverty, clean water, health and well-being. And I'd be able to see those businesses based on their real impact. I can make selections based on the ones that match my values and match what I really care about. So when we think about rolling this out globally, art, music, film, storytelling, metaphor is so critically important in terms of how do we actually engage people? How do we get millions of people all over the world to share what their priorities and what their preferences are?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anas Burton. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ArtStyle. I lead one of the largest Web3 communities here in the Middle East. Last year, we raised about 1.5 million to deploy into a collection of art. We have our own festival. We regularly work with government, major brands, Dolce & Gabbana, Visa, on Web3 initiatives in the Middle East.
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm a photographer, also a community builder, and I'm the artist relationship manager for Bueno. Bueno is a platform which creates tools for artists and creators. See?
Okay, yeah, we're live, so excuse our technical issues, but this is what is happening in life, so we're all good. Okay, so I want to ask you, how do you, so during this COP, we talked a lot about the future, co-creating the future, the role of artists, the role of entrepreneurs, the role of people creating, how creativity leads to innovation, innovation leads to impact. And I want to hear from your perspective, how do you think arts, artworks, musicians, creatives can help us solve global challenges, and how can we, what is the best way for you, for this community to contribute to solving global challenges?
So I think it's a great question, and actually I think it goes to the heart of a lot of the conversations this week when we think about, I think globally we're losing the communication battle, we're losing the communication challenge when it comes to sustainability. So actually, when we think about artists and art and music and animation, that's how we're going to tell the stories that are going to truly engage people at scale in sustainability and right across the SDGs, not just for climate change. And I think we need to find better and different ways to co-create art, co-create music, co-create film with the communities based on their stories, their experiences. And just to give you one quick story, and I worked in the UAE on the Special Olympic World Games a few years ago. So it was the first Olympic ceremony that was co-designed, co-created, co-delivered by a group of young people with learning disabilities and autism. And I worked with hundreds of young people all over the country, and they created all of the music, all of the dance, all of the art, all of the films, completely co-produced. And we were just talking about it before, but actually, when you have a voice and when your voice is heard and it's listened to, it's such an important part of your identity. And when you see individuals start to see their voices heard and their art is recognized and their voice is recognized, then the power of that and the power of those individuals to then connect with others is truly incredible. I'll give you one example of a young person I met up with earlier today who's still creating art. His art is being showcased around COP28 today. And we were filming in Mawaheb Art Studio in Dubai. It's an amazing place if you haven't been there before. Young artists with disabilities all over the country come there and study and they work. And it's a wonderful place. But I was there doing some filming and we had the whole film crew with us. And I was talking to James about his experiences of being a young man with disabilities. And he said to me, I couldn't go to school. I was bullied. The only thing that allowed me to feel a little bit better was to write my own songs and to perform them. And I said, go on then, James, give us a tune. And James stood up, and I can still feel it now. He stood up, and the power of his voice, the energy that he had, the producer, the film crew, their jaws just completely dropped. But James ended up performing live to 5.5 million people on ESPN, 50,000 people in the stadiums in Abu Dhabi with Kiala Settle and Avril Lavigne and a number of other celebrities from across the UAE and across the world. And to see James allow his voice to be shared at that globally was incredibly powerful. And so I think when we talk about climate change and we talk about climate action, it shouldn't be me up here today. It should be James up here. It should be the individuals who are creating the art that can change the world. And it's when they start to create communities at scale, that's what we're looking to do, is how do we mobilize those communities at scale and provide the opportunities, provide the platform, provide the spaces for individuals to share their voice at a global scale.
Thank you, Rupert. Anyone else wants to add? How do we solve, Anas?
So I'll just share a bit on how we at ArtStyle have used communities and art to support initiatives. So we have our own NFT collection, which is how we created, our community. Very recently, this is not a climate change related initiative, but when I think about what we did, I think the impact can be equally executed for climate change. We went to Colombia as a community. We brought 40 members of the ArtStyle community to Colombia. And obviously we visited the favelas in Medellin. This is a crime-ridden area, previously, occupied by Escobar. And, it's not exactly the place where a lot of people have, a certain, a reasonably good standard of living. So we ended up working with an interesting organization there that is building different types of initiatives to support families through growing lettuce, growing different types of plants in the Medellin sort of favela area. And what we did to make that happen is we used the power of Web3. We created an NFT collection connected to our CryptoPunk. So the CryptoPunks, obviously, classic, super important part of the NFT space. we had an artist in Colombia spray paint our CryptoPunk on a wall, but we bought this wall using funds raised from our community through an NFT mint. All the money raised went towards a number of families in that region to support the initiatives of growing lettuce for these families to get out of poverty. We raised approximately 20,000 US dollars in the space of 5 days. And what I can say is that is the power of community, right? The art style community came together through a mint. We raised that ETH, and the ETH went directly into having an impact in that community. So what is that? What is the story there? Well, the story is people have funds ready to deploy into initiatives, but the question is, you need to move them, right? How do we move the art style community to want to do this? Well, we brought them into the actual favela. We walked through it. People met with children. They met with, these are NFT traders, crypto influencers. They have no connection. Their lives are usually just Twitter, right? And maybe a high level standard of living out here in Dubai. So maybe they don't understand. And so my thinking here is, how can I leverage the art style community in some way to witness how bad the environment really is? How bad, like for me, I'm from Mauritius, 50% of our sea life and the corals of Mauritius are dead. If more communities could witness this, you can very quickly raise money through Web3 to deploy and support initiatives like this. And yeah, my hope is to be able to do a lot more of these in the future.
Thank you, Nas. And does anybody want to add to this question? How do solve SDGs?
Well, I think that artists need two things, and that's something that you already mentioned, is an artist needs funds to survive and needs exposure. And I think that our mission here, as artist supporters, as creator supporters, is to give them, those platforms for them to create, to raise funds, and also to have exposure to a lot of people. If an artist or a creator have exposure, we are supporting all the causes that the artist wants to support. Why? Because artists and creators have a bigger sensibility regarding this kind of stuff. This is normal people who suffer like in the first hand, sorry.
There's an environment around us.
Yeah. Well, this is the people who suffer in the first hand all kind of like social problems, like environmental problems. So if we support them, give them exposure, I think that our mission here is arriving to somewhere safe.
So already from our three panelists, what I heard, right, the important thing is hearing those who want to speak about the problem, being part of the community and helping local communities, and showcasing the problem that needs to be solved. So these are the four things, important things that we are concluding here in this panel. And I wanted to, Mari, would you like to add to this?
So that I am an artist and I make art, and I believe artists can make something beautiful, like people can imagine, but artists can manifest, like draw the actual artwork and let people see and feel and understand. So I think this climate challenge is, for normal people, it's not so usual thing. They don't feel like it's our problem. It's like their problem. But the art makes them like feel and think and do the kind of storytelling. So the narrative is, the art has a power of the narrative, make stories and people feel to understand or what is the problem, or like I like to join this activity, or is a more like passion or soul or something really direct impact for their heart. So that maybe it's not so difficult, like they think like, oh, it's difficult and it's nothing about it's not my matter, but it's like this everyone's matter. So art makes power to embrace everyone to be a part of this challenge, and I believe it. So that, yeah, I think that art has power.
Sure, Anas?
Just on the point of art and how I believe art can impact. So art is a form of storytelling. We have approximately 70 plus artists at ArtStyle, and many of them create works of art all the time in different ways for different reasons. Obviously, it's not easy to be an artist because you have to live off your art. You have to sell them. In our community, you know, they're selling the artworks for whatever ETH, 2 ETH, etc., to raise money to cover their cost of living. Now, what's interesting though is, you know, with the right stories, the right storytelling, art pieces can go for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? The right collectors of art, many of which exist in our community as well, they will easily buy artworks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, it is therefore a challenge that the artist needs to think about how that story can be worthwhile enough that you can capture that kind of audience. Linking that storyline, if you can, as an artist, with an initiative around climate action, with an initiative around social justice, is obviously wonderful, right? I want to give another example. So at ArtStyle Fest, our festival in early March, we raised approximately $5,000 for cancer research through art. We did an art auction through one of our artists, Christelle Bashara. She's one of the first NFT artists here in the Middle East. She and the Al Jalila Foundation, which is His Royal Highness's Sheikh Mo's official charity here in the UAE, we did the first NFT auction which sold art as an NFT to raise money for cancer research. It raised $5,000. So clearly, you know, art with the right storytelling, with the right kind of movement, with the right kind of backers, can be a significant instrument for social action and change. It's about realizing that. It's about telling that story. And that story is not easy to tell, right? It requires a lot of research, knowing your audience, knowing your collectors, partnering with the right organizations, and then it becomes very much a possibility. And I think that's what's wonderful about that space.
This is a very good example of how funds can be mobilized. And unfortunately, there are still very, very few success stories like ArtStyle. And Anas, I would like to, what would be your advice to communities here who are looking to bridge finance, arts, and a cause? What is the missing piece? Where do you see, you know, how can we succeed as a global community to bring that to action, to have many more initiatives that really have mobilized finance, mobilized resources, and have real impact in the real world?
So I'm going to say a couple words here that are just an honest reflection of human behavior, okay? So at ArtStyle, we work with a lot of wealthy people who buy things to make money. Crypto is an industry that is financially driven. People are in this industry to make money. So you need to firstly understand that psychology and accept it as an artist. Do not expect benevolence necessarily from the community, which means you need to create value for them, these people, in some way. That's just something we need to accept. Number two, I would say, if, again, these people who have money, who wish to buy art, they maybe have egos that want to be shown in some way. So I'll talk about another NFT collection that we worked with, which did very well. After in early, I think when Obama ended up closing the US operations in Afghanistan, I don't know if people remember, there was an interesting NFT drop that was done, which was raising money for a family in Afghanistan, okay? It was approximately 0.5 ETH or 1 ETH, etc., and you could buy a bundle of food for a family in Afghanistan. This initiative raised approximately $250,000. I was part of it. Why did it raise $250,000? Well, the art that was done by this collection was done in such a way where every single donor was revealed in a very, very reflective way on a website with the amount of money that they contributed and the specific art piece that they got. What did that do? The donors felt proud to showcase that on Twitter, because it went viral, that they were part of this movement, right? At the same time, the artist involved was able to say, look, I created value for my donors. And then in turn, it was done and raised money for, CARES, which went to Afghanistan. This is a perfect example of leveraging the power of art, community, financial incentives, and the interests of so-called wealthy people. This is how we believe we should mobilize interests, and it's what been core for us at ArtStyle.
Thank you, Anas. Thank you for sharing this experience. And Mari, you wanted to add something on the resource mobilization?
I just wanted to add on a use case in Japan. There's a little village called Yamakoshimura. It's a small village, 800 people, and it's going disappeared. And they don't have any financial resources. And my friend is an engineer. He's a crypto kind of he did the generative masks is kind of successful Japanese collectibles. But anyway, they sold the 10,000 in half day. But for them, this little village made generative art. Nishiki koi is a cusp, like koi is a golden kind of big fish. But they made generative art and 10,000 artwork, and they sold at 0.03 ETH. So it kind of make money for them. And also the holder become a digital citizen, so they can join the governance, and they have original financial resources. They decide what to do, like event or like bringing people in, and then this was quite a successful. So 800 people in like local plus 10,000 people like a digital citizens. So community become more big, and then people can they look at the case and wow, we can do this. So this kind of Web3 case is encouraged like small village, also digital like DID. This is a Japanese case, a case in Japan, but also some people don't have any ID, no country supporting their identity, no nothing, so they cannot have any bank account or nothing. But like for example, just smartphone, and they can have a wallet, so they can make some art or they photo or something, that they can get the cryptocurrency direct. So that in this case, without any like a centralized like country or support, they still can survive with if they make art or any like documentary or anything. So I think that's another like a very useful, powerful use case, I think.
Thank you, Mari. And Tom, would you like to share your experience at Bueno?
Well, more than in Bueno, I think that we have focused until now on financial capital, but there's another kinds of capitals. There's social capital and cultural capital. And the use case that I want to bring now is regarding social capital and cultural capital. There is this project called Crypto Murals. What they used to do is to tokenize street art in every part of the world. So what happened when they tokenize this? They go to the governments, and governments give funds to the community to keep improving the streets of poor villages outside the cities. So what happened? Of course, the money is not enough to put beautiful all the village, but when the people see that some streets are like improve it with painting, with murals and stuff, the other people organize and start like putting, I don't know how the correct word in English is to refurbish maybe, or to put better, to improve the face of the houses. But it was organically, and where the funds come, the community organized themselves, doing like parties in the streets. And it start like with one mural, tokenizing one mural, one street, and then the community organizes, and they all want to have the front of the houses beautiful as their neighbor. So in this case, art is promoting the improvement of a complete community. So I think that the power of art, the power of culture go beyond the raising funds for something. I know that money is super important, but here we are giving to the spirit, giving to our souls in a different way. So that's a good case. I think that
Yeah.
was important.
Rupert, please.
I think you're exactly right, and I guess the only thing I'll add is how do we actually create a financial system and a financial market that does truly value our values, so value what people care about. And actually, so the whole point of Rewired Earth and why we've set up the organization is if we can understand what people care about in terms of quality education or no poverty or zero hunger or health and well-being or life on land, and then we can match that with the true impact based on real data of those individuals, those artists, those organizations, those not-for-profits, then we can bring capital. So we're working with some of the biggest pension funds in the world, sovereign wealth funds. Then those individuals who want to make those investments based on what they care about on one side of Rewired Earth, then they can see those artists, those organizations, those initiatives that truly match their values. And then we start getting a market that does truly value our values, and we will accelerate change much more quickly than we can now. But also, to your point, appreciate the power of those things and appreciate that art, appreciate what you really care about, you and I. And actually, we're adding an extra component into the markets. Right now, we think about lowest price or best quality or most convenience, but we need to bring sustainability in the UN SDGs directly into the market so that they can be valued, and then we can drive investment into them. And I think it's hopefully that bringing that emotion, that art, and the power of creativity with the power of the financial markets and actually bringing it together that's really going to transform our current system and drive change at the speed that we all need it.
And final question for our panel, because I know you're all looking forward to network and reception. So we're here at the COP, and there was a lot of criticism for the United Nations system that the system is not working, is not perfect, is not delivering solutions, is not really building the right bridges. However, what we have been seeing is that there was not enough accessibility for a lot of people, including artists, to this system. And it's still the language that UN uses to pass on this message to the people may be not very easy to understand. So we actually need more artists, musicians who can translate this complex language, not available to every single individual in the world, into something that can be easily understood and people can relate to. So how important do you think is to include many more artists, creators, solution builders, musicians into the system? And most importantly, how can we practically do that? How can we reach out and how can we explain what is happening here at the COP and the importance of this event to the people?
Well, I think that in our case, in the ones who are here in this pavilion, we are very art open people. We are organizing an art competition. We work with artists. We are artists. But how we can go to the OPEC booth and tell them, hey, where are your artists? How can we do that? Maybe we should plan a campaign for next year and go into all the booths.
Well, here, my question is also not just like inside, right? Because people outside of the COP, people who have never visited the COP.
I'm going there.
That's
there.
the thing.
I'm going there because, OPEC and other organizations are here. And if we bring artists, I think that just us is not enough. It's okay, it's good to be at least us, but we need to promote art between the other pavilions, between the other organizations. If we do that homework, Miro, please take note. If we do that homework, I think that next year we can put in other organizations' mind, bring artists into the COP. And if other organizations do it as well, I think that the word is going to be spread super quickly. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
I mean, art has been a big part of humanity's understanding of various issues, right? I think back to, for example, we talked about music. Bob Dylan was an important part of the, anti-Vietnam movement in the early 70s, right? He, alongside a lot of other musicians, right, helped design a kind of zeitgeist for society in the United States and in Europe to oppose war. It moved into, opposition of nuclear proliferation. So clearly, the storytelling of musicians is capable of harnessing societies and communities into movements. What I believe is missing today is we don't have a Bob Dylan of 2023. We don't have.
What about Beyonce?
Well, we have Bad Bunny. We have, yes, we have Drake. We have these different types of musicians. But what are they singing about? Are they talking about the environment? Are they harnessing Gen Z and the millennial groups to rally behind a cause? Not really, right? Our social media driven world has changed to be very financially based, very so-called flex based, i.e. showing off what you have, etc. Things that are irrelevant to important causes, right? So, I think, I don't know, something has to be done at the artist level as well. But maybe that's a result of demand, right? I studied economics, and so for me, there's demand and the supply. Is the art that is environmentally friendly being supplied? Is there demand for it? Maybe there isn't, and that's why we don't see it, right? The demand is only for the kind of art that is perhaps crass and which doesn't result in a movement being created. I don't know what the solution is there. I do know, though, that art is powerful. It's financially powerful through the examples I've just given earlier. It's capable of driving people to raise millions of dollars, but somehow it needs to be instrumented in a way to create that value. And I don't know, to be honest, how we can do that in today's day and age.
Thank you, Anas. Rupert, your point of view?
One of the quite remarkable things I heard the other day, that there are only 14% women on panels across the whole of COP28. And if you think about that as a design principle of this process, it is absolutely disgusting that we allow that to happen. So as a body, we have to start as a starting point. It's 50% male and women, at least as a design principle of COP. Now, that might change in some instances, but that's the fundamental starting point for COP. And it's the same, how accessible. It's very lucky that we can come, and I feel very fortunate to be here. But what about all of the other individuals, artists globally or not? So we need to fundamentally change how the whole process is funded, the opportunities, the accessibility. And so that's awful. But just two examples of where I do have some hope. Jorg, who started an initiative called Creativelo, where they've got broadcast studios on solar-powered bikes traveling around all over India right now. And they are bringing art to the masses. So, and Jorg has brought so many young sustainability experts, entrepreneurs, individuals to COP, and he's giving them a platform. And when we were in the Extreme Hangouts earlier, where you heard this youth choir sharing their voice and the stage they got and the platform they got and the amount of people watching, that there's hope, but we need to do that much more quickly and much more effectively. So how do we come together and create Creativelo in every city all over the world? So how do we get initiatives like C40 and all of the most powerful cities and mayors around the world to say, well, why aren't there thousands of these bikes going all around the city? Universities, schools, businesses, not for profits. Let's create ecosystems that can really drive the change at the speed and scale required. And just one other initiative and a partnership we've created for COP28 is with Akono TV, an art streaming platform. And they had an Art Speaks Out campaign leading up to COP28. And they had 600 artists from all over the world submit their films and their creations, and some of the most powerful, beautiful films that they've created. And we've shortlisted 100 of those films and connected to them to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So we'll be broadcasting over the next 3 months all of these films against the SDGs that are most powerful. So what we need to do is we need to think about how do we start bringing these ecosystems and these communities together to drive the change much more quickly, because we are losing the communication battle with sustainability. And it's the point that I started with. We need to go much faster. We need to engage people. We need to get to people's hearts as well as their minds. And at the moment, we're not doing it. So unless we can come together as artists, as entrepreneurs, as organizations, with the financial community, artists, not-for-profits, business, and government, and if we can't work together and bring those players around the table, then we're not going to be successful.
Thank you, Rupert. Mari?
So as an artist, I like to see other artists. Here is like a lot of artists because there's digital art climate. But the other pavilion I kind of visited, a few artists I met, but I want more artists, more musicians, more creators to join this kind of activity, COP. Well, one thing we can do like open call for art for climate. Actually, I'm a chief curator and global partnership of a Japanese NFT gallery called Nox Gallery. So when we do open call, the lot of artworks, like over 1,000, there's really people, like artists wants to join to show their artwork. So the open call has power, so we can collect. And also collect people, the attention, and also lot of NFT artists is not awaken this kind of challenge yet. So we can just bridge this like COP28, like SDGs and global climate and challenges to artists. So artists can be more like willing to join, and they use the creativity to make it happening and to make more awareness for everyone, including young people, kids. So it has power. And another thing we can do is like music art festival, kind of.
With ArtsDAO?
Yeah, ArtsDAO. Actually, I like immersive, like for example, this is environment. So we can show some kind of good environment, also some kind of a simulation data, like from data, like big data. They have like all the climate or Amazon data, a lot of things we can do the visualization, and we can show in dome. So everyone in dome and can kind of feel and think, talk about it. Actually, this COP28 Dubai Expo City has huge, very beautiful dome. So we could like I was dreaming to do some kind of project mapping there, but also we could do some kind of immersive music art, visual art festivals. And the third thing is like actually I shown my artwork where the Sugizo is Japanese established rock guitar artist, but he's now is ambassador of Art Day Japan. He's personally he's working for like really going for like his concert is running by like hydrogen power, some of them, not all of them, not lighting, but the sound system. Also my father is a sound engineer. Actually he brought a lay party in Japan, like outside a music festival in Japan. He's been working for Fuji Rock Festival for like 25 years, and he does a solar powered sound system for more than 20 years. So we have kind of our way like knowledge, also how to do it. So we can bring all our knowledge and kind of wise ideas together. We can make it something really interesting happen, and more artists are interested in joining, and so that more people, like a fan of artists, so everyone can enjoy and more like being what like the part of the action. So I think that's the way.
Thank you, Mari. So step number one could be share your pictures, tag everybody, talk about the COP, talk about the artist, talk about what you've seen here, what you would like to see at the next COP. We have powerful platforms like Instagram, Twitter, or X, LinkedIn. And if we create this even mobilization using digital technology and really create awareness of the events like this, that the fact that they exist, because you'd be surprised how many people have no idea COP exists, and that important decisions are being taken here about our future, about our planet, about our environment, and we are humans, we're part of this environment, and everybody, climate change is about everyone, SDGs are about every single person. So please do me this favor and talk about what your experience and what you want to see in the future. And I sincerely thank our panelists for sharing their experiences, ideas, thoughts, and being here with us today. So thank you, everyone. And now to the reception, please.